And welcome to another edition of Working for Charities. I'm Trip Mitchell, and I'm joined by two of the best people in the state of Utah, Randall Carlisle.
How much did that cost for you to say that?
$43.12.
Okay, I'll pay you afterwards.
And I'm going to Venmo you, I promise.
Oh, he is high-tech. John Absey. You don't know his face, you don't know his voice, but you know him for the good work that he's done for the last 25 years. John was the bear and took that mascot to be not only the most popular mascot in the country, but to do more good with thousands of visits to charities, to hospitals, to kids. You have really been amazing, and now in your new life, we're lucky enough to work, the three of us together, to meet some great charities. Tell us who we have on the show this week.
We are lucky enough to have Joseph Carbone, and he runs I Care for Kids. He started I Care for Kids, and the best thing about Joe is the story that he has, well, also that he's a great human being, but I've known his story.
So you owe him $43.
$43.10.
We'll see how high-tech you are and how you transfer that.
Something that I hope, we need to definitely talk about is how he started and where he's at now, because I was there watching him grow and sitting there talking to him when he was telling me whether he was going to be able to make a car payment or he was going to lose his house. I mean, he put everything on the line for this charity, and God blessed him enough to it grew, and it's amazing now.
Well, fantastic. And for those of you watching our show the first time, what we are all about is allowing the viewers at home to meet people like Joseph and some of our previous guests, people who are just one individual, maybe with his wife or vice versa, who have a dream and say, I want to help, and go through that process. And you've done an amazing job. But it's one of those situations where if you have other people out there, one person can make a difference, one person can help. So let's talk a little bit about your story and how you've gotten to where you are now.
Well, thank you. And I met this young man 25 years ago, the week
he was young back then.
the week he moved to Utah. And we have bonded and become friends, and I've watched his, I was going to say I watched your three girls grow up, but I think I watched them born almost and then grow up. And it was even before you were married.
Yep.
And he's one of the greatest human beings that God ever put on this earth.
Well, that is very sweet for you to say.
$42.17.
Yes. No,
It's
I
going
double
up.
that with what he
We
just
do not
said.
take Bitcoin.
So how did you get started? How did this become your passion?
Yeah. So I was the kid back in Queens, New York. I was the kid.
I've heard of it.
In the back
It's a
of the
little
room.
place.
Yeah. And I couldn't see the teacher. I was distracted. I was getting in trouble. And a bunch of dominoes fell correctly. And being dyslexic, I was going to have a hard time in school. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician. It was not going to happen in my lifetime. And by the grace of God, I found myself working at one of the most prestigious optical places in Manhattan. And I loved it. And so I went to school at night and barely got through that and worked during the day. Back then I got $1.76 an hour. This was back in 1975.
Sadly, I think Randall and I can remember those days.
I
My
remember
first
those days,
job was
but I wasn't living in New York. That must have been terrible. $1.75 an hour.
That's
Wow.
right.
You weren't out at Studio 54 very much.
No. But so anyway, and years later, I found my way to Utah. I bought an existing practice called Progressive Eyewear with an optometrist friend of mine. I'm a board-certified optician. We changed the name to the Eye Doctor. We fed our families. We did well since 1978. And we had some individuals, kids, that come into the clinic whose parents couldn't afford the glasses. And that just got me. And one of them came from the reservation. Someone sponsored him to get his glasses. And when he picked up the glasses, he looked out the window and he began to cry and laugh at the same time. And he said, I didn't know trees had leaves.
Wow.
And that was one of those situations, it only changes you 1 degree. But after several of those, my life went in a different direction. So with my wife, with a dear friend, Dee Hadley, and myself, we started I Care for Kids. I think I filled the IRS form out in pencil and sent it.
Always good to be fungible.
and sent it in, and they said, yeah. And so we ran the eye doctor and eye care for kids side by side from 2001 to 2006. And then I went home one day and I said, sweetheart, I want to sell the practice. I want to do this full time. And she said, okay. I got the greatest wife in the world.
You must.
Yeah.
She could have said you're crazy.
Well,
She might have inferred that.
she was thinking it.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, that's part one. Part two is we need to mortgage the house for $150,000 to get this.
Did
Now
she
you're
say? Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's-
That might have been a cold dinner that night.
No, I slept in bed, and the dinner was warm. But again, she said, okay, big guy, I'll back you. And so here we are in 2019. We've helped 300,000 individuals get free or next to nothing a cost of eyeglasses.
300,000.
300,000.
That's bigger than that's 1.5 Salt Lake cities.
Yeah.
Think about that.
We have 8 clinics in 5 states, and I get up in the morning and I pinch myself and I go, I'm the most blessed man there is. I get to play with kids. I get to help them achieve their goals, because it's not just glasses. If a kid can't see, can't read. If he can't read, he's not going to learn. He's going to get in trouble. You know this better than I do.
Oh, you've seen Randall's record?
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, and so I got in trouble.
Well, you got into radio.
Yeah, but you're right about it. I mean, we have so many stories where adults will talk about the fact that they had so much trouble when they were kids, and then they only found out when they were adults that they couldn't hear properly or see properly, and that was the reason. It wasn't because they were bad kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer. You can ask my wife and my kids. But I can't cure cancer. I can't build a community after Katrina comes in. But I can do one small thing, and that's give a kid a pair of glasses. And I think if the community gets together and everybody takes their piece of the puzzle, and we all do this together, then that picture that is on the wall now, this puzzle is complete, and this kid, the one kid, has an opportunity to see their future, see their vision become anything they want to be.
I still remember we had gone out to the Navajo Nation down in Bluff, and I went out as Bear, and he brought Seymour and the mobile his mobile eye exam unit, and there was a child that came on, and when he left, and I remember, I'm pretty sure you guys were talking, I overheard you, but you guys said that he was 21,000. I mean, that 21,000, and he was probably a teenager. I think he was probably...
He didn't see past here.
Exactly. He was probably 13 or 14 years old. And for how long...
What would life have been like?
Exactly.
That?
So, I mean, that's, the impact and the change
It'd
that
be us.
you're giving to these kids.
We couldn't see each other.
No.
That kind of vision, right? What would it be? Just a blur?
Yeah, 3-4 inches away from his nose, everything was blurry.
Imagine growing up like that.
Oh, not a clue.
And that is kind of shocking to me, Joseph, that kids don't get caught early enough to know that, and to have care, neonatal, or some sort of care to let them know that it's an eye issue, that find someone who can help. Right. So really, your group is, I hate to say first responders, but in some cases you really are.
Yeah, we do the vision screening, we perform a comprehensive eye exam, and give them the glasses if they need it. And it's so important to get this done by kindergarten. In a lot of cases, if mom and dad are wearing glasses, somewhere between 6 months and a year old, get into the pediatrician and just have him look at it, number one. But yeah, the early prevention is the time to do it.
You intrigued me, Bear, with a story, or not Bear, John. I'm sorry.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't shaved today. He is a little
He's
furry.
He's a little furry.
Yeah, well, with the person you met who had that terrible eyesight, then I presume they got corrective lenses. What was the reaction? My gosh,
Well, I don't remember. Did we grind the glass, or did you guys grind the glasses and the lenses right there? I think
We let you do it.
Yeah.
I
Furry
still
hands.
can't see it.
We actually made the glasses back in Salt Lake City in our laboratory, and we mailed the glasses back down to the school, and I think we got a letter back that said, this really is a life-changing
Oh,
experience.
wow.
Yeah.
So, but it was seriously a lot of fun. But I think you know, honestly, you know, out of everything, I know that during the shows we always talk about small charities and how some charities fall off and some charities struggle. And I honestly, out of all the charities that I've ever worked with, I've never heard a more amazing story than what Joseph went through at trying to get eye care for kids off the ground. Because Joseph, the thing that blows me away is that hearing your story back then when I was with you, and I think I might have even told you to walk away. But I mean, because
that good positive.
There was, I was just because the life-changing events you were going through to try and keep this charity afloat. Anybody would have walked away, but you stuck with it, and I just think that just says a lot about your heart and who you are as a human being, and that you know, your vision was there, and you weren't going to let anything change it. I just think that was amazing.
A wise man once said, "Walk forward with faith," and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not me, it's the community. It's all of our donors and sponsors. It's the kids. It's the community that rallies around us. This is a team sport, and we get the greatest players in the world.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't quit. I'm glad if I did say so, I'm glad you didn't listen.
So Joseph, at the lowest moment during the charity's long history, what was your thought process like? Maybe you didn't have money to pay for some glasses or a payroll or do something that you realized that this just isn't working. What went through your mind, and how did you get through that?
Yeah. So, to be perfectly honest, and we have Alan Haig here on my board of trustees, and he'll verify this, we're still paying back the $150,000.
Okay.
Personally, we're still doing that. I don't know how many more years that'll take, but we're still doing that. And then you got
$1 a year for 150,000 years. You're going to get that thing retired.
But that's my wife's and my skin in the game, as well as going to work every day. My wife works at the organization. So what was the most important thing? We hire local people, local refugees, come to the clinic. We teach them how to work in the doctor's office. We give them a career. So these people get helped and they learn to give back to the community. My thought, the worst scenario, I think, was these people won't have a job. I'm responsible for 35 families of putting food on their table, and that's the biggest burden on my shoulders. Hope one day I don't have to worry about that. But another wise man taught me, and
you know a lot of wise
John
men.
knows this wise man. He said you got to run a charity like a Fortune 500 company.
How so?
So you start Monday with $5,000 in the bank, and you want to do charitable stuff, and you spend $5,000 during the week doing your good stuff.
That makes you feel good.
Make you feel good, and you go home over the weekend, and Monday morning,
Zero.
you're out of business.
My finances, I might want to listen to this. Do you want to repeat that?
That's
Go
why
ahead.
Trip runs his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've had some great mentors in my life, my board of trustees, dear friends who put me on the right road. I have made every mistake in the book as far as running a charity, and we're still here. So my recipe is I pray like it depends on God at night. I get up in the morning and roll my sleeves up, put my shoes on, and I go to work.
So you have to make some phone calls to some people asking for support that are probably tough to make.
Did I leave my tin cup outside? I always.
I saw you under the overpass the other day. Gee, you looked a little different.
My sign said, "Please help give glasses."
Yeah, right.
And so I'm out with a tin cup every day. My
So-
wife calls me. He's no longer a professional optician. He's a professional beggar.
So you dial for dollars.
Yeah.
But one of the things in last week's show, we had Mark with Angel's Hands Foundation on, and we were talking about how great the community is in Utah. And Randall mentioned that. He's been a newsman in other markets, and you try to get people involved, and it's tough. Here, you just say you need some help, and people come
They're
running.
there. Yeah.
This is the most amazing community in the world. There are people of faith. There are people of doing. There are people of community. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with what nationality you are, what color you are.
But,
these people come together.
But ultimately, do Utah fans do better or BYU fans? We'll put you right on.
That's a terrible question to ask.
I refuse to answer
See.
that question on the
Plead the
grounds.
fifth.
It might incriminate me. The next person he makes a call to will be a BYU person, and he'll say, "I support the Utes."
They both do great.
Okay, perfect answer.
There you go.
Yeah.
So our community just is. So at your darkest moment, you knew that there's someone out there that was going to help.
And there always is. That Monday comes and there's a new caller, there's a new sponsor. The families in this community, the family foundations. So John said we go down to the Native American reservation every year now for 16, 17 years. And we do this 1 or 2 visits a year. American Express funds those trips since day one. They have never missed a year. And how blessed am I? How blessed are these kids on the Navajo reservation? So we have several organizations, businesses, family foundations like that.
That's fantastic. We're visiting with Joseph Carbone. We'll be back after this short break. And welcome back to Working for Charities. Randall Carlisle, John Absey, I'm Trip Mitchell. We're visiting with Joseph Carbone, who has got an amazing group, I Care for Kids, who's grown from a small organization to now providing eye care for 300,000 people. That is truly amazing. And however, you've known John for 25 years. When did he say you've got to have a mascot? When did we hear that?
About 4 years ago.
And how influential were you in on this one?
I don't know if I was. I think it was kind of his thing. I think he was just really motivated because we had worked together right off the bat, and he kind of brought me into the fold and put me under his wing, and we helped each other out. And then he just realized that
Bear couldn't be there all the time.
right. So he got his own.
So who is this, Joseph?
Oh, yeah. This is Seymour. Seymour the eye care bear.
The eye care bear. And all joking aside, young kids respond to Seymour, don't they?
They do. And
Do you have a couple stories where this is made a bit?
Everywhere he goes, kids are hugging him and loving him. He doesn't scare people in this setting. They love him. He represents every young boy and every young girl who needed a pair of glasses who couldn't afford it, and so they just bond with him everywhere he goes.
That is fantastic.
Really quick though, like Seymour, where that came from is Joe has a mobile eye exam unit, and it's amazing. Tell me about the mobile unit that you
Yeah, the mobile vision clinic is an eye doctor on wheels. It has all of the equipment in there that your eye doctor is going to have. So we take it to schools, we take it to Boys and Girls Clubs, we take it to the Navajo Reservation. We have one here in Utah. We have one in Las Vegas. It goes to a different school in the Clark County School District 5 days a week, and it's a year booked out in advance. And then we have one in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's fantastic. Having lived in Vegas for 28 years, we were building a new school every week during the tremendous growth period.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about a little bit on the last segment that I'm shocked that kids will grow up with eye problems and not have it diagnosed, but it's a factor in life.
Oh, it really is.
And it's not something that's someone else's kids. It could be your kids.
And the story is from affluent people. They say, wow, let me tell you my story about my kid. And they grew up on the east side of State Street and in an affluent area. And they go, my kid was in the 3rd grade and teacher sent back saying he failed the screening, And mom and dad had no clue that the kid had a vision problem.
What are some of the technologies that make you guys so effective? Have things gotten a lot better where you can create the glasses, do the tests? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have instrumentation that we sometimes don't even need the child to respond, especially if it's a special needs child. We have these handheld autorefractors or screeners, and we can hold it up and do both eyes at the same time, and that gives us a starting point. And sometimes that's what it is. Most times it's a full examination. For our doctors, we use state licensed doctors and everywhere we go. and we were able to diagnose all the problems. One quick story.
Please.
So we do a collaboration in Newark, New Jersey with Rutgers University, and the doctor came out of screening a child there, a 11-year-old boy, if I remember correctly, and the doctor pulled me aside and he said, Joseph, and the doctor is weeping, and he says, if we didn't catch this on this young man, he says, the young man has advanced glaucoma. If we didn't catch this today, diagnose it and treat it, in 6 months he'd be blind in that eye. So what you said, that the number 300,000 is a great number, and that sounds fantastic.
Well, it is fantastic.
But that one boy, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. We bring it down to the one child.
Each one of the 300,000.
Yeah.
Think about that, changing that many lives. I mean, and we all know because we see okay. Well, you've got to wear glasses, but and we all know the importance of that. I mean, how could we? You think about that. How could you have succeeded throughout your careers or whatever? With not being able to see properly.
Yeah.
And wow, you do
I
such
know
great work. It's
in my
amazing.
case, I had LASIK 15 years ago, and that became not having to wear glasses anymore
Right.
to do games and that sort of thing was life changing. It really is, but you forget about it. We are always so comfortable with what we have, our
Sure.
skills and stuff. So you're in growing to 300,000 people. You've obviously had some great people helping along the way. You mentioned that you hire refugees to come in and teach them a profession where they can do this sort of thing. You probably have some real heroes who are the eye doctors as well. It takes a special person to work for a nonprofit.
And it does. Dr. Michael Thane, who was with me when I had my regular practice called the Eye Doctor, he when we closed it down, I said, Mike, I need to talk to you here. I said, I got good news and bad news. So we're closing our practice down, and you can see his face go white. And I said, but I have this idea. And he has been with us for the full 18 years, every day at work.
Probably making less money than he would.
Making a lot less money. And he's examined your eyes before.
Many
you know
times.
Dr. Thane.
Yep.
And
He's
I wanted
amazing.
him here, but he's seeing patients, so I wanted him to be on the show today. But can I share just one more story?
Please.
Make another little twist. So we had a mother come in. She was a refugee from Haiti. And she said, I went to a free clinic 3 years ago, and they told me my little boy should get an exam and probably needs glasses. But I haven't been able to afford to do it. And she got a referral to come into Eye Care for Kids, and we saw the kid that day, did the exam, got him glasses a couple of days later, and she come back in just weeping. Can you imagine how that mother felt? She knows her child has a problem. She can't do anything about it because of money. The kid could be fixed like that. The problem alleviated. And she couldn't do anything for 3 years.
Wow.
Imagine how you'd feel as a mother or a father.
And in that situation, Joseph, that child for 3 years is in the last in their class in reading, last in math, virtually anything academically. They're forming a personality.
Not through any fault of their own.
Yeah,
You know.
no fault. And all of a sudden,
Exactly.
if you go through life, and again,
Yeah.
it's something that we take for granted.
Have you been doing stuff? Actually, I know you are. You're starting to do stuff internationally, right?
Yes, we with Indiana University School of Optometry, we do a trip to Rwanda. We've been there 3 times now. With a group out of Las Vegas, a group of ophthalmologists, we go to Kenya. With Latter-day Saint Charities, we were in Laos. We try and do the majority in our own backyard. That's the United States, but we do 10% kind of international.
That's crazy.
That is fantastic. And Rwanda is a very interesting country.
Love Rwanda.
And it is, I'm just ironically reading that it's the country that might break out of Africa and be the next
Yeah.
kind of super country and the one in that region. So it's got to make you feel good.
It does. They have the best French fries in the world.
Rwandan French fries. I've never heard that before.
Do they have fry sauce like we have in Utah?
No way.
Okay,
It's
that
funny,
one
we
area.
we just had lunch yesterday, and he was giving me crap because I didn't eat the fry sauce. We were both talking about the fry sauce. We were just like, I'm not really sold on fry sauce.
You mentioned American Express has been amazing. Give me some other companies and groups that have been so helpful. And I don't want to put you on the spot to miss anyone.
That's the whole thing. I love answering that question, and I know I'm going to miss somebody. So Gail and Larry Miller, obviously, the Miller Foundation, Jay Francis. We have the Sorensen family. We have the Simmons family. We have Zions Bank. Elaine Wynn in Las Vegas is our biggest donor.
Wonderful woman.
She is amazing, and she was the one that brought basically I Care for Kids to Las Vegas. I apologize. I know I'm missing.
You have a lot
so
of big
many.
hitters, but you have small hitters too, right?
Yes.
I mean, how's that work if somebody wants to help you?
So a dollar is good. What we figure it's about $35. We put an arbitrary number on that for material cost, for a vision screening, an eye examination, and a pair of glasses, and in most doctors' offices that doesn't cover the cost of goods. Because I've been in the business for 45 years, we have great relationships with the optical industry. In fact, we have a couple of them on our board of trustees. So we purchase lenses and frames pennies on the wholesale dollar. So we really can give the vision screening, the exam, and the glasses for $35. So I'd love for you to sponsor a kid. Anybody.
And Joseph, we have Joseph's contact information up on the screen, along with email address, website, and phone number. And it's really amazing. And it was so nice because John said we're going to get a chance to meet you today. And I didn't get a chance to really look up I Care for Kids. And when you said you have helped 300,000 people,
your eyes opened up.
My eyes did open
So
up,
to
and I
speak.
saw 2020. And that, for something that you came up with a number of years ago, is admirable. And another thing, haven't been a friend to this guy for 25 years.
That's a tough job.
How often do you wash the bear costume?
We washed it every time.
Really?
Yep, after every show.
Was there
How
just
often?
one?
Nope, we had 9 of them.
9.
How often do you wash this one here?
After every century.
I wonder what that
we
order
just
was.
found out.
Wow.
Well, I'm
said
looking
that
at the
like-
shirt right now, and I see a map of Hawaii right here. There is the Big Island
He's
right
a
there.
sloppy eater. And you should interview him next. He really is a good talker.
Okay. Well, Joseph, this has been a great half hour. So excited to meet you, and your story is great. And one of the things we talk about on this show, and if you've got a great show, we'll have an email address for you at the bottom of the screen. Reach out and let us know if you'd like to be a guest on the show. We want to tell stories of charities that started here in Utah, big and small, because every story is amazing. And we've got, John, you've introduced me to some great people. Randall, it is so much fun. This is a labor of love
This
for
could
us.
go on forever. How many charities did you say we have
Over
here?
3,700.
Wow.
So,
There's
Randall,
crazy.
if we do one charity a show, and we've got 3,000 charities, how many shows would that be?
Can I look on my phone? I don't know. That's
It'll be a
several
lot.
years, I would say.
Yeah, Netflix will be running this forever.
Before you say anything though, really quick, we got to throw a shout out to Joseph's wife, because for being patient with this man and trusting him.
Hi, sweetheart.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if any of our wives would say, "Oh yeah, go ahead, mortgage the house."
I know one that wouldn't.
Me too.
And we want to thank our crew, Lee, our producer, editor. Lee is doing this out of labor of love. We all do, because we love the state of Utah. We love the charities we get a chance to visit with. For Randall Carlisle, John Apsey, I'm Trip Mitchell, saying we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.